Well, speaking of things that are not cool, I was thinking maybe we should get to our next segment, the Redzone Rodeo Clowns of the Week.
All right.
This is where I tell you about takes or other stuff going on in the football world that we just think is kind of silly. It's not great. So those are our Red Zone Rodeo Clowns of the Week. The first one that I just wanted to talk about, Derrick Henry, your favorite running back ever, bought
Yes.
a in Dallas this past week. And there was a lot of discourse among Cowboys fans. They were saying, you know what? That means he's going to sign with the Cowboys in free agency. That's like a precursor. And it's just, no, no. This man is a multimillionaire who owns multiple properties. And having one in the state of Texas does not mean he's signing with the Cowboys. That just means he wants to live in a state with low taxes. It has nothing to do with where he's going in terms of football free agency. So I just thought that was absolutely silly. It was probably one of the silliest things I've seen in terms of Cowboys discussion this week. So, absolutely, this whole situation is part of the Red Zone Rodeo Clowns of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. There was even a there was even a bit that I saw where it circulated actually a lot with Titans fans. I actually was surprised because it literally looked like someone took a picture of a blue Jeep that had like a cowboy, like the back tire. Maybe you saw it. I don't know. But the back tire had like a cover that said Dallas Cowboys on it. License plate was scratched out. And people were saying that that was like Derrick Henry's new car. And I was just, I just so wanted to like ask the question. I was like, how do we know? How do we know this wasn't some random person that just took a picture of a blue Jeep in a parking lot with the Dallas Cowboys, scratched out the license plate, and then was like, he's going to Dallas. It's proven. Like, I want to know, I seriously want to know who like knows Derrick Henry is like, this is the new car he bought. The parking lot didn't even look fancy. It was like a Walmart parking lot. Obviously, it wasn't Walmart, but like that's what it looked like. And I was just like, who, first of all, knows which car Derrick Henry like has recently purchased? First of all, I feel like he wouldn't be buying it. I think it was a Jeep Rubicon or something like that, which I feel like is something that Derrick Henry would not be driving anyways. That's my just personal take. I feel like he's more of a Grand Cherokee type guy. But anyways, that's that points aside. I was so surprised at that. And of course that led up to a bunch of the rumors that he's gonna go to Dallas. He's gonna be a cowboy. And
Yeah, if I feel like Derrick Henry is smarter than that too, because
I know.
if he was like broadcasting to the whole world that he signed with the Cowboys before the legal tampering period started, the Cowboys would be in a ton of trouble. So if
Mhm.
it comes out that there was some sort of secret deal in place, and that's why he bought this house in Dallas and got apparently a Jeep with the Dallas Cowboys, that would just completely screw over the Cowboys. They probably have to forfeit like their first round draft pick this year. It would be like the worst case scenario. So honestly, anyone telling you that any of this means that Derrick Henry is coming to the Cowboys has no idea what they're talking about, and this deserves to be a Red Zone Rodeo Clown of the Week, undoubtedly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing that I think deserves a Red Zone Rodeo Clown of the Week is this whole notion that has been circulating around that the NFL should adopt the XFL kickoffs. I honestly, I when I saw this circulating, like there's a little part of me that understands like, okay, well, the kickoff was, the rule was brought into the XFL to try to reduce injuries. But the remainder, large part of my brain was like, what? Because literally, like the XFL kickoff only lasted, according to my knowledge, for one season in the XFL. I don't even think they had it in the 2020 XFL. Um, but it lasted for one season. It wasn't great. It looked stupid. And like personally, I have never seen a lot of injuries that transpire on like kickoffs and kick returns. I know it happens, but that's saying like, oh, you know, we're going to try to stop a part of the games in like injuries happen. Like you don't know when they're going to happen. You can't completely avoid them. It's just the unfortunate part of contact sports. But for them to basically and for it to be circulating around that they're going to adopt the XFL kickoffs, the UFL didn't even decide to have it in their league. they removed it. They were like, this was a bad idea. Like, not necessarily in terms of player safety. It's just it looked weird. It didn't catch, and they're like, we're not going to do it. But now the NFL is thinking, oh, we're picking it up. We may implement it to reduce injury. As no, I this deserves a rodeo clown of the week because I this is such a stupid idea, and anyone that thinks that this is going to transpire to affecting the NFL, I can't see it. It wasn't even no one wanted them in the XFL. So like why would they want to bring it to the NFL, which has a much more bigger following? I feel like there would be just a uproar if it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It's dumb that the NFL is considering this. And honestly, I have to apologize as a Cowboys fan because apparently our special teams coordinator, John Fassel, is leading the charge to bring this kickoff to the NFL, which is just, it's terrible. It's such a
Yeah.
bad thing to watch. Like, it's not fun to watch.
Mm-mm.
If you're gonna make the kickoffs bad, you might as well just get rid of them. I think I'd rather have no kickoff than like a bad kickoff because a
Yeah.
bad kickoff is just boring and pointless and waste time. If the
Hmm.
kickoff isn't going to be like an exciting play where something can happen, why do you even have it? Just automatically bring the ball out to the 25-yard line every time. If that's
Yeah.
what you're going to have like this, watered down version of it. Why even have it in the first place? It's just a waste of time,
Yeah.
you know? It's so incredibly bad. Absolutely deserves to be a take that's covered in the NFL Red Zone Rodeo Clowns of the Week segment. It's so unbelievably disgusting and wrong and bad. And you're right. If the UFL themselves aren't even doing it, why is the NFL? The UFL is like, this is a horrible idea. Why would the NFL be like, oh, well, that's what we should do? What even the
Yeah.
spring league isn't going to do is what we should like. It's so, oh, it makes me sad. It
Yeah.
makes me
I swear, if this actually ends up happening, there's going to be an uproar. I swear, there will literally be an uproar of people who even have watched the XFL. I honestly don't know of a single XFL fan that like watched it last season that like would pull for this, or pulled for the XFL kickoff to remain in the spring league, in the new spring league, the UFL. It really just seemed like everyone was like, this was kind of a scratch when it came to ideas that we had, and we're not going to move it. We're not going to have it moving forward in the spring league. And now, yeah, the NFL is no. So, write it off. Not happening.
absolutely clown behavior. Speaking of absolutely clown behavior, just one axe I have to grind is Jerry Jones saying that he is all in this season. Okay. When he said that, everyone immediately thought that meant there was going to be like big free agent signings and the Cowboys were going to try their best to win this year. But instead, they're not going to do anything in free agency. They let Tyron Smith walk. And now Dak Prescott might not even be back next year. What is going on? If your definition of all in is just making this like a lame duck year for all your guys, that is completely different than what you were saying. Why would you go around telling everyone that this is the year you're finally going to make a change and go out there and be aggressive when this is probably the worst you've managed the team in an offseason since you drafted Dak Prescott? This is by far the worst team we have had since Dak Prescott was drafted in 2016. And okay, Jerry, I would love if you went out and proved me wrong and signed some big names in free agency or at least impact players. They don't even have to be big names. The linebacker from Tennessee, Aziz Al-Shaair. I love that guy. He's not going to
No.
be he's not going to get a big contract, but he's a great linebacker. And if you bring him to Dallas, maybe I'll bite my tongue a little bit and be like repentant. But if you just sit pat and don't do anything this free agency, then you deserve to be a red zone rodeo clown of the week for using the term all in and getting all of the Cowboys fans' hopes up to just sit on your hands and do nothing.
Yeah, no, that's good. Although I will say, I really hope Aziz Al-Shaair comes back to Tennessee because he was a big playmaker this year, and I think it's going to be a mistake if the Titans don't at least attempt to re-sign him. But yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that whole thing that stirred up so much chaos when he was just like, "Yep, we're all in." It's yeah. Speaking of big kind of blunder moments, Aaron Rodgers has said that he is likely going to play 4 more years in the NFL. And honestly, for those who may not know, Rob and I are not big fans of Aaron Rodgers for a plethora of reasons that, to be honest, this show would be endless if we decided to get into them all. But I think that Aaron Rodgers deserves to be the Redzone Rodeo Clown of the Week because of this statement that he's going to play for 4 more years. Now, I can see him playing for, maybe 1 or 2 more seasons. But if it doesn't work out in New York for him, I think he's gonna be done. I think if with his age and even what he's able to accomplish on the field, I just don't see 4 more seasons um, playing in the league. I definitely don't see him playing 4 more seasons for the New York Jets. But yeah, I have 1 to 2 max is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think he's just jealous of Tom Brady and he wants to play as long as he did until he's like 44, 45. That's why I said that. There's no chance he's going to last that long in the league.
Yeah,
It just can't happen. He's already so frail. He already had that one injury. Like as soon as he stepped on the field last year, he cannot last that long.
yeah.
Like you said, maybe 1, maybe 2 years tops, but that's it. And that'll be the end.
Yeah. And there was also some speculation that like, oh, well, he said this because there's some spoken words in the New York Jets like front office that they may be interested in taking a quarterback in the draft. I don't believe that necessarily. And so there was some speculation that Aaron Rodgers was saying that to kind of, you know, quell the thoughts of, oh, bringing in a Jordan Love-esque and having it repeat where you have a guy coming in and you draft him a while ago and people are like, when that happened, when the Packers drafted Jordan Love, they were like, what are you doing? And then we saw why. And he came out and arguably played even better than Aaron Rodgers had played in Green Bay for the most recent seasons. Maybe that's a step too far, but maybe maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to have a repeat of this happen, which I thought was interesting. But still, like, why would you? You're a rodeo clown, man. Just go home, play a
Dude,
season, and go home.
that's got to be Aaron Rodgers' like worst nightmare to have the team that
Yeah,
he's on the first round pick to draft a quarterback again instead of using
yeah.
it to get help. Oh my goodness, that would be so funny. What pick do the Jets have again? Do they have a first round pick this year?
They do. It's I think, isn't it 10? Is it 10?
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Am I off with that? But I think it's 10. So yeah, it's relatively high. I mean, they have the ability to go out and get a wide receiver. They could potentially get Brock Bowers if he falls to them. They could get a good offensive line. There's a lot of options for them. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they're at 10. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be going quarterback, but wouldn't that be funny if they shock the entire world and they pick up one and it's just, but I mean, I guess I could see it. I know you have Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, stepping out on the field, and I know that was just like you know, a crazy thing to happen. But the question really you have to ask yourself is, I don't think they're going to draft a rookie to do this, but I'm sure they would sign someone like Gardner Minshew or some of these other guys that are out there. But what happens if Aaron Rodgers goes down again? Because I mean, last season the Jets were in the prime to make a push, and then they lost Aaron Rodgers, and it all kind of started to fall apart. So like
Yeah.
I think there is some definitely thought behind like, okay, who are we going to bring in that if he goes down, if the old man Aaron goes down, what are we gonna do? Like, who are we gonna go with? Because
Especially Zach Wilson might be on his way out of town.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Because that Zach Wilson leaving, they had Boyle, I think, as their third string, Tim Boyle.
And well, yeah.
So and that obviously wasn't great. So you know. But I will say, I think the greatest thing that Zach Wilson and the Jets have done is beat the Eagles. That was last season. That was crazy to see. And I will certainly not be letting any Eagles fans lose that, because that in itself is a rodeo clown, a red zone rodeo clown to lose to the Zach Wilson and the Jets. But anyways, I digress. Aaron Rodgers to play 4 more years. Shut up, man. You're a rodeo clown.
Zach Wilson will always hold a special place in my heart for helping the Cowboys win the division this year. Because if he hadn't beaten them, then we would not have won the division. So Thank you, Zach Wilson. I'm on your side always. That was the last.
So you're saying trade Dak Prescott, bring in Zach Wilson. Is that the train you're on?
Yes, Carson. That's exact. I want Zach Wilson and Trey Lance on the same team
Wow.
together. Dream team of high pick quarterbacks there. Can't
Unstoppable.
Absolutely unstoppable. No one is beating us once that happens. Just the two best quarterbacks ever on the same team.
Absolutely. Yeah,
It would be unfair.
it would be. Talk about the Ravens being unfair and the 49ers being unfair. No, this would be the new unfair.
We'd have to develop some sort of like two quarterback formation to have them both there at the same time. Just let them absolutely dominate together.
Exactly. Yeah. Unstoppable. First of its kind.
Force of nature is probably
Yeah.
the only way you can really describe that. Well, speaking of just like absolutely terrible, horrendous takes, the last thing we're going to talk about here on our Red Zone Rodeo Clown of the Week is a take we actually had. What was it, like 2 episodes ago now? Maybe, right? We
Yeah.
said that Mike Evans, well, at least I know I was very adamant about this. Mike Evans was going to be signed by the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency. And literally, not even a week after we made the whole segment about that, he re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for what was it, like a 3-year contract or something like that.
Yeah.
So
3 or 2 years, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, so we are Red Zone Rodeo Clowns of the Week because we had had some not so great takes on this show. I mean, we had some good ones. Okay, the Russell
Yeah.
Wilson Pittsburgh Steelers thing we said last week, I thought that was spot on. Seems like it might work out. But if it doesn't, then maybe that will also be on the Red Zone Rodeo Clowns of the Week next
A
week.
future Red Zone Rodeo Clown of the Week.
Yes, exactly. But as of right now, we are Red Zone Rodeo Clowns of the Week because we said Mike Evans was going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of takes that are out there. And, I don't have the percentage because I'm not going to do the math, but a good portion of them certainly don't end up being true. But they're still fun to talk about. And, no matter how bad the takes are, we're still going to bring them to you. And whether we deem them Red Zone Rodeo Clowns of the Week or we even break them down in our Red Zone Rodeo Go rounds, we may be wrong, we may be right, but hey, we're going to be here through it all. So sometimes it's even more fun to look back on some of the things that we thought were going to happen and laugh about it. Like my take that I thought that the Dolphins were going to come into Kansas City, cold Kansas City, and whomp them. It didn't happen. That was awful. Why did I think that? I don't know. Maybe that should remind me not to go with my gut, but hey, we laugh all the way through it all, and eventually we'll make some good ones as well. So
didn't you pick against the Chiefs every single game in the
I
playoffs?
think I did. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And then I rooted for them in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was yeah. I know. Crazy stuff. But hey, you know what? You can't be right all the time. So
Yeah,
at least
I
it
mean,
proves I'm human.
yeah, being wrong is half the fun because then we get to do this and look back at it and laugh. And
Exactly.
there's absolutely, I think most of the people watching would agree with this, but one of the most fun things you could ever do is just sit around with your buddies and talk about football. And we are so lucky that we get to do that and, record it and share it with everyone. So yeah, just thank you guys for watching and, letting us do this.
Thank you for joining us on the Red Zone Rodeo podcast.
If you like football and you like having fun, come on down and subscribe and check out our channel for more videos like this one.
No ifs, ands, or buts. This is the best place for your football news.